Hi, it's Coach Joe Lucas, and welcome to the Magellan Network Show. My goal inside of this communication, this show, is to share with you my nearly 30 years of coaching some of the most successful financial advisors in North America. We're going to be talking about strategies, syntaxes. We're going to be bringing guests on from time to time, and I'm going to share with you what's working now. So think of this show as sort of like a little one-on-one kind of mini coaching cast, if you like, where we're going to be going in depth from time to time on strategies to help you grow your business, get more effective, become more efficient, find balance in your time management, grow your business, and quite frankly, whatever else is going on in the world today. So before we get to today's episode, I'd love for you to do a couple things for me. Number one, make sure that if you're watching this on YouTube, that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're doing the audio, make sure that you give us a review on whether Spotify or Apple. We'd really appreciate that. And quite frankly, that does help. It does matter when you rate things and like things and subscribe to things. It helps us get the word out to more of the industry. And lastly, I have a very special gift for you. Go to MagellanNetwork.net, so one word, MagellanNetwork.net, and I have for you a complimentary membership, 100% gratis, where you can tap into about between 50 and 75 hours of masterclasses, forms, tools, templates, and strategies. So please go ahead and make sure you go ahead and get that claimed. Smash the like button and subscribe. And please go ahead and leave us a review on whatever podcasting platform you're on. And now, let's get to this week's episode. Hi, it's your Coach Joe Lucas, and welcome to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. I'm going to start this show with a little story, and hopefully a lot of you can relate to it. So about a week or so ago, I found myself on an airplane flying across the country. I was going to a 3-day training event that I literally forgot I signed up for 4 years ago. Before the pandemic, several of my clients recommended, and they go, Joe, you got to go check out this Bo Eason guy. You're going to love him. You and him are going to see eye to eye. You're going to resonate, stuff like that. So I'm like, yeah. So I do some research, and I do always take my clients' recommendations at heart. So I said, you know what? I like new experiences. This seems like a little bit more of like more like presentation and like stagecraft training. But you know what? I got some personal development budgets. So let's do it. So, in October of 2019, we signed up for the May 2020 live event in California. And obviously we all know what happened, right? Couldn't do it. Things happened. And I literally forgot I signed up. Like I'm off doing my own thing. They try and do some virtual stuff. I totally forgot about all that. And literally, I think about 8 weeks ago, my wife, Marissa, comes up and she goes, hey, the Bo Eason people, they want to know if we're ever going to make an appearance. And I'm like, I don't know. I got a lot going on. I got travel. She goes, I checked your schedule. You're available the first week of May. So I said yes. And quote unquote, your ass is going to be on a plane to California to take the training. It's like, okay, fine. Twist my arm. It's La Jolla. They're the worst place in the world to go, right? So, but I'm going there. And I'm like, why am I going? Like I totally forgot why I was going to be there. And so we get there a couple days early. I get to relax a little bit. It's our 29th wedding anniversary. And so we kind of celebrate that. And then we go to this training. And I remember it's like in a beautiful, like performing arts center stage, right? Just like you would think a concert hall would look like, beautiful. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, why am I here? And my Marissa goes, well, what, are you excited? I go, not really. I'm confused. Like, I forget why I'm here. So we go through the 3 days. It was beautiful. It was a wonderful event. Highly recommended, by the way. I think the event is called Personal Story Power. Any advisor, I highly recommend you make time to go do it. And so we go through the thing. We go up on stage. I'm not going to bore you with the details. Just go to the event when we get a chance. But here's something I learned. And so if you don't know who Bo Eason is, basically he was a professional football player for several years. Then he decided he wanted to be an actor. Then he decided he wanted to write a play. And that morphed into being a personal development speaker, and away we go. So the whole life story, right, on display. And what I really took away from, and it was interesting how he correlated like sports to business to stage acting, theater, right? Just kind of like a triad approach. And one of the things I thought was really interesting is that preparation and practice are really the most important things. Like whether you're a world-class athlete or a world-class performer, the actual performance is the afterthought of preparation and practice. And that really hit home for me because I'm sitting there going, you know what? He's right. Most advisors wing it. They just show up and they make things happen and they lack an intentionality. What else did we talk about? We talk about the difference between being very good and being the best. And there's a gap. And being the best, and when we say the best, we're not talking about being number one on the Barron's list or top person of the firm, or that's not in this context, that's not the best. It's about being the best version of you, bringing the best version of you to the game. So what does that look like? It's going to take commitment. There's no, we can look at metaphors and examples, right? Tom Brady eating avocado ice cream and taking, and I remember the statement was Brady's key is success. He was not the best athlete. He was not the best thrower of the ball. He just outbehaved everyone with his behaviors. Hi, Coach Joe Lucas here, and I'm just breaking here for a moment just to do a couple quick reminders. Number one, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel or our podcast. In addition, please leave a comment or a review. Those things really, really matter. And share this episode with 3 of your colleagues inside the financial services space. And lastly, make sure that you go ahead and claim your free membership inside of Magellan Network. Now back to this week's episode. So to be at your best, it takes commitment to be at the best. You got to be willing to do things that your competitors are not willing to do. And let's also talk about that for a moment. 95% of your competitors are in good enough mode. They're good enough. They're good enough at their preparation. They're good enough in front of prospects. They're good enough in the COI game. They're good enough at referrals. They're good enough at anything. And good enough in this game will probably get you mid 6-figure, maybe a 7-figure top line revenue game. Just good enough. That's the power of our industry. I've said this for decades. This is the only space, and I truly do mean this. This is the only space I'm aware of, the only profession I'm truly aware of, that a highly dysfunctional person could make 6 figures. Show me another profession that's possible. I've not found it. So even if you just say good enough is good enough, you're still going to be probably in the top 5% of all earners in the United States. It's pretty cool. But man, if you embrace preparation and practice and you dismiss the standard of just showing up, oh my gosh, now what's possible? Low 7 figures, mid 7 figures? I don't know. High 7 figures? And yes, I'm equating it to money because that usually gets everybody's attention. But I know you're not here just for the money. But yeah, it's important. So imagine a situation. So here's what I want you to think about. Here's the game. Here are the rules. 95% of your competition is in good enough mode. And they're going to be successful. The only thing you have to do to become one of the 5%ers is declare to yourself that's what you want. And then commit to it. You don't need permission. You don't need another designation. You don't need to invest $50,000 in a marketing program. You just have to make a simple declaration and commitment to yourself. It costs nothing economically. It's going to cost you a lot in blood, sweat, and tears, but it's not going to cost you anything economically. So how do we be a pro in this game? How do we go ahead and prepare and practice and get out of good enough? Well, there's a very simple recipe, and I'm going to share it with you. I'm not going to go into the overall details of each piece. That's for you to follow up with me on. There's your invitation. Here's what it is. No particular order. Number one, what is your game? Now, what do I mean by that? What is the vision for the next 10 years, 3 years, next 12 months? When I work with my clients, one of the first things we do, personal and professional 10-year vision. We call our Magellan Vision Plan. There's our game. Next, we're going to break that game down into a quarterly game plan. So we're going to have like a play sheet. Here's what we're going to get done in the next 13 weeks, next 3 months. Here's what that looks like. Next, how do we win? So if you think about the career as a 10-year block, and you can have multiple careers, right? You can work for 30, you can be in this game for 30, 40, 50 years if you want. So let's just take a 10-year block. Let's call that career number one. So every game is a day. So look how many games you have, right? You have, let's say 240 work days, 200 work days, 2,500 games in a decade, a lot of games. So how do you win that day? All starts with how do you prep? So where's preparation and practice in our game? It's the morning ritual, morning success ritual. In my world, we call it the Magellan Morning 8. An 8-step practice, preparation, process. It's what it is to make you better at what you do. That's the game in a nutshell. The difference between somebody that does okay in this game and those that really ascend at the highest levels, their commitment to excellence, they're willing to eat the frog and do the uncomfortable things. They're willing not to quit. And they truly have a grand vision that they're after. And look, the last thing I'll say, and then we'll get out of here. You know what else I like about this game? It doesn't care how smart you are, how educated you are, how many designations you have, because those are no guarantees of being super successful in this game. It just does not. All of us have the exact same level playing field to go ahead and be magnificent. And that's a beautiful thing. Thank you for listening and watching this episode of Magellan Network Show. Go check out Bo Eason. You thank me later. And I'll see you all again next week. Thank you for watching or listening to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. Hey, if any of this resonated with you, I invite you to come to MagellanNetwork.net, and we have a powerful group coaching community of like-minded advisors. Come in for a trial. You and I will have a one-on-one conversation. Let's see if I can help elevate your game both personally and professionally.